22 years ago, founded the firm of Sander Architects in Amsterdam. She is an architect who is an experienced designer in activity-based working.
Thank you, Cindy, and also thank you, Philip and Isabel. I'm very honored to be here and today and to share my knowledge and experience with each other for a better life. In the last 22 years, I realized a lot of projects, and all projects I realized were driven by my passion for architecture. And my passion is motivated by the impact architecture has on human beings. It can change the way you feel, it can change the way you behave, and it can even change your brain. I will explain it later. I work together with a young group of people. We travel a lot around the globe, but our base camp is in Amsterdam. Today, I'd like to talk with you about stretching the boundaries. This expression was already mentioned today, but I'd like to explain you about the way we work on architecture. And first of all, we work from inside out. We start in our minds. It's a way of thinking. It's the same thing Franklin Becker already told. We start thinking about how we can optimize our performance, our abilities, our feelings, and then we are able to design the optimal environments. For this motto has been our architecture is not a way of building, it's a way of thinking. This has been our motto since our firm started in 1990, and I think today it's more and more the truth. There is built too much without thinking, only motivated by growth. When you look about the data, what architecture is about, it's a lot of data. It has to do with programs, budget, corporate identity, square meters. Well, you can mention, and we have to translate it into spatial quality. For that you need conceptual thinking. I think the concept is the most important thing, is the foundation for a good design. For that, we try to empathize with the client, not only listen, but we try to get under his skin. We are constantly innovating, because when you realize that people spend most of the time of their lives inside the building, we have to think about the essence of life, our behavior, our activities, before making a design. A good design gives confidence. It inspires and initiates new forms of personal interactions. Well, it can also change our brains. Professor Fred Gage will explain.
We spend 85% of our lives inside. But have you ever stopped to think how the design of a building is affecting you? Architecture can change the way you feel, the way you behave. It can even change the brain. One of the world's best neuroscientists, Professor Fred Gage, made a breathtaking discovery. Human adults can grow new brain cells.
So this is a sterile environment where we keep the animals. We're gowned.
Since then, he's been looking at how environments affect the growth of our brain by studying mice, which share the same brain structure as humans. The development of animals living in basic conditions is compared to that of genetically identical mice living in more stimulating spaces.
We will, on a regular basis, every couple of days, take out these objects and put different ones in, move the water and the food in different locations, so you can enrich an environment not just by having it complex, but by changing it.
But what does a stimulating environment and the increased brain activity actually do to their grey matter?
So this is the part of the brain called the hippocampus, where new neurons are being born all the time in all mammalian species from mouse to human. The red colors corresponds to a newly being born cell, and these green ones were cells that were born 2 months earlier, but now have matured. And we can actually quantify this, and in some cases, we've seen over a period of a month, as much as 15% increase in volume.
In a month, 15%?
In a month.
The key question then is, can you extend this to humans? I mean, what you see here, does this equate to humans as well?
If we look at this slide, those correspond to blood vessels. And it turns out that the area where new neurons are being born is highly enriched in blood vessels. And you can measure that blood flow both in humans and in animals. And in the animal work, you can show that that corresponds to increases in the birth of these new neurons. So we extrapolate to the human work.
That's quite fascinating, isn't it? It means that you're continually developing, that if you're moving from different spaces to different qualities of space, that your brain will change, it will shift.
That's right.
How much power then do you think architects have over us?
Architects are impacting the structure of my brain by virtue of the designs that they're making, but they're not taking into consideration how. Neuroscientists and architects have to work together. Often science and art live in two different camps, and they don't communicate with each other. So we should be highly motivated to optimize our understanding about this so that we can build environments that optimize our performance, optimize our abilities, and that can happen.
Yes, this is very interesting, and I think this integrated design will be the future, not only the techniques, but also the scientists' influence. I'd like to talk now with you about stretching the boundaries of the modern office. We worked for 4 years on the Rabobank Nederland. The new Rabobank Nederland office in Utrecht is a singular example of the role that design can play in the cultural changes that an organization wishes to enact. We were very happy to have this unique client with a very special program and also a unique building. First of all, Rabobank is one of a kind. It's a unique bank among the others, and I think it has to do because it's based on a cooperation. It's more a family than a business bank, and it has its own network. It goes into very small villages all over the world. Worldwide, it has 600 offices in 46 countries, and it works global. And also, in this uncertain market period, it's still very strong. Something about the program. They called their program Unplugged. They wanted to work completely with a staff which has no rules, no time moments that they had to be at the office, and no place. It was based on honest, on being real, being pure and aware. It had to do with lots with trust, and this whole Rabobank turned around their way of working. And for a bank, it's extremely big thing. The whole program was made by Eric Veldhoen, and it was based on activity working. We talked already a lot about this today. I won't explain all the details, but the main thing is that you integrate mental, virtual and physical space into one strong thing. And I think at the Rabobank it's a very good result. But before we worked on Interpolis, it's the small office Philip Ross already mentioned in a small village in Utrecht. But I think in 1995 this was the first office where they start with ABW way of working. And it's evidence-based, which is very important. We can measure all the profits. Some other principles which belong to active-based working, you can read them here. well, the staff will become flexible. It's done with the Rabobank. Well, you can read all the points. And then I'd like to explain more about the building. It was designed by, the building was designed by Kruivanger, a Dutch architect, and they delivered a Casco building, which was not specially designed for activity-based working. So when we were commissioned to make the interior, it was just before the building phase, so we could change some important things on the design, and we integrated some extra staircases, I explain later, and other ceilings to make it work for activity-based working. The building is 105 meters high, has 27 floors, and we started with the work in 2007, and we just finished in March this year. They are working now 3,500 people, and it has 56,000 excuse me, square meters floor. I'd like to explain you something about the structure of the building. There is a ground floor area of 6,000 square meters. We call it the plaza, and there are 2 towers. It's separated into clusters with basic floors and identity floors. Basic floors are more the normal floors where you can work, and identity floors are floors like a plaza floor where you can meet and have lunch and have time to connect. Well, we choose some unity within one cluster, and I explain you short something about the floor plans. These are the main cores, and we put the closed spaces like the cockpits against the cores, and around it there are the meeting rooms, and the other space is all open, fluid space. For this special commission, we wrote a vision. We discussed 1 year with the Rabobank and with all the staff members and everyone to find out what Rabobank is about this story about getting under their skin. And this vision is based on 2 important things. One, it's based on the city as a metaphor. The city, I think, is the best place where you can feel free. My motto was, my office is the world and the world is my office. I think this is the feeling of this moment, that you can work everywhere, this freedom with no physical limits to our actions, and a feeling of unlimited possibilities must become visible and tangible in the new Rabo building. We choose for this city as a metaphor because individual freedom and spontaneous interaction is leading at this moment. We call this concept Rabo Flow, and this logo, these 3 vertical things, means that the old partitions, we won't make any partitions anymore in the building, and the horizontal has to mention the horizon. We wanted to make this very open environment where everything flows and where you feel as if you are part of the world, but you are in a building, but it's maybe for a few moments or for a short period of time, but you're still connected with the world around you. And then the second main thing was, the second main thing of this concept was the back to the basic instincts. In a way, we are all animals, and we wanted to follow nature, and it was based on how birds find their way to the other part of the world. So wayfinding and arrangement is based on intuition. We all find our way in a strange city. We know where the center is. We feel it. This is somewhere you don't need anything for. So penguins also do the same. And also in nature there are quiet zones where you can easily hide, and there are more traffic zones. So on this plan, the busiest routes automatically forms around the cores, with the lifts and the staircases, and beyond which more peaceful zones naturally emerge. Well, the flow was guiding for our interior design, and we were inspired also by a river, because the inner band has a fast-moving flow, and the outside band has a leisurely flow, so they can make the quiet workplaces. Well, also, this was an example I'll show you later. And then the form follows flow. We choose materials and forms that follows this concept. Here I have some examples. You see here the path. There is low carpet and high carpet. The high carpet gives extra acoustic. And when you step on the high carpet, you go outside the traffic flow. There is quiet places, you can sit, you can hide a little bit, and you find your own place. To end my presentation, I like to show a short movie of the member of the executive board of the Rabobank, who explains how it works and how he finds the solutions.
Je moet echt vasthouden, je moet discipline hebben aan het concept en aan de functionaliteit die dat concept vereist. Aan de andere kant moet je daar binnen proberen maximaal een omgeving voor mensen te creëren waarin men zich prettig voelt. En ook voelt, dit is een omgeving die ondersteunt wat ik aan activiteit op dit moment moet doen. Nou, het meest trots ben ik op het geheel.